you ain't mad about what is happening, 92 million people in climbing without health care, underinsured or uninsured, if you ain't angry that folks are facing eviction, meanwhile back at the ranch, Congress can go on breaks while people are suffering, if you ain't angry that people are playing games with the military industrial complex, that even in the House of Representatives, now we get what Mitch gonna do, Mitch got to go, but even in the House of Representatives, we can't pass a 10% cut on the Pentagon budget. If you ain't angry that people in this country can't make ends meet, we can't even get a basic universal income, people haggling about whether or not we're gonna keep the $600 extra a week going. If you ain't angry that essential workers are not protected and doctors and nurses don't have all the equipment that they need, if you're not angry that our babies, because of COVID and the fact that we were not prepared, are going to be set back, especially in poorer communities, from an education perspective, if you are not angry that people going to bed hungry every night, babies going to bed hungry every night in a hegemon nation, baby, if you're not angry, something is wrong with you. And I had a boss who once said, if your hair is on fire,
Hello, somebody.
Hello, somebody. You have to act like your hair is on fire.
Somebody.
Our whole body is on fire right now. People are suffering. The pandemic just blew the roof off of the illusion. There are no more illusions in the United States of America, or dare I say the world, that the people who are catching hell laid bare were catching hell 5 years ago, 10 years ago, hell, 10 minutes ago. Those are the people. And if we can't elect folks to office, all levels of government, but particularly the federal level where they ain't got the balance, one damn budget, who don't have the will to stand up for the people against, if there are corporate folks and people giving you donations who can't see how people are suffering, if the wealthy folks in this, you're not making enough money, what is it, the 12 wealthiest people control $1 trillion? I mean, that's called predatory capitalism. It's called excessive greed, and we don't give a damn who dies. I mean, if you got to get your money from folks like that, then you don't need their money. It is something unseemly and immoral. And some of these same people who do believe in a God will go to damn church knowing what the hell would Jesus do? He'd be turning over the money tables like he did. That's what he would be doing. So I'm tired of the foolishness, Ben and Jink. I'm over it, been over it. So yeah, I'm an angry black woman, and you're damn right, my hair is on fire, and I am going to act like my hair is on fire at all times. That's me.
Preach it.
Preach. My God.
Teach it. All right.
I don't know.
Hey guys, this is Tommy with Tommy Nation Politics. How's everyone doing today? Tommy Nation Politics.
Hello, Georgia. By the way, there's no way we lost Georgia. There's no way. That was a rigged election. Your vote tomorrow will decide which party controls the United States Senate. The radical Democrats are trying to capture Georgia's Senate seats so they can wield unchecked, unrestrained, absolute power over every aspect of your lives. If the liberal Democrats take the Senate and the White House, and they're not taking this White House, we're going to fight like hell, I'll tell you right now. And I hope Mike Pence comes through for us, I have to tell you. I hope that
audio. They just cut out. It looks like they and sometimes the Senate.
Like they just ushered Mike Pence out really quickly.
Yes, they did. That's exactly what just happened there. And they ushered Mike Pence out. They moved him fast. I saw the motions too.
And the vice president has an office right off the Senate floor. All of those offices have lots of windows there. That's why they're prime territory. All right. So there are also tunnels under the Capitol where all of us have gone, the railroad tunnel, the tunnel between the buildings. There are many ways to get him out of the Capitol building and to be escorted inside the building, underground, and he could come up on the other side.
a reminder, these are pooled cameras. Trust me, we would love to show you the other side of the Senate chamber.
Let me just also say,
flip that sound there right now.
To clear all those people away from that East Front, that's the East Front where Joe Biden, after the inaugural, is supposed to be reviewing the troops. That just to let people realize that's where the outgoing president gets on the helicopter to fly away, if you remember all of the past inaugurals.
Is this Secret Service that's just walked in, guys?
I don't want to speculate, but I had the same. You hit it, Katie. I had the same first instinct there too. Felt like a lot of guys.
A lot of guys.
And a lot of
everybody
vests.
to get down.
Yeah.
I just.
A lot of vests, a lot of protection.
And they're doing it again. I think we should talk about just what happened a couple moments ago with Donald Trump saying, let's go to the Capitol, let's go to the Capitol, let's go to the Capitol. And this, look at what is happening right now. They're trying to certify Joe Biden's election or to count it. Joe Biden's election. You have a number of Republicans who are objecting, saying this isn't fair. And Donald Trump's supporters are taking them at their word, and they are doing what they see as necessary to keep him in office. I keep thinking about this moment that I had with a Trump supporter in Pennsylvania saying he will do whatever it takes.
Katie, right now there is a police.
They're evacuating this.
There's Capitol Police right.
Zuckerberg posting the dramatic move that they believe that the risks of allowing the president to continue to use the service are too great, and they will be blocking the president on Facebook and Instagram indefinitely, and at least for the next 2 weeks until the peaceful transition of power is complete. Now, Carl, as you mentioned, this is a dramatic move for Facebook because Mark Zuckerberg has stated repeatedly that he believes that Facebook is a very necessary platform for free speech. He has always really sided with the side of free speech rather than more regulation. He has called for regulation to help create guidelines to understand how to limit speech on the platform. But this is really a dramatic move, saying they believe it is simply too dangerous to allow the president to use the platform. And just to be clear, Carl, this is an extension of a 24-hour block that Facebook had put on the president that began last night, and they're now saying that this will be extended indefinitely.
To that point, Julia, I just wonder how much of this, given the fact that we have been having these conversations, I mean, to think about the tech sell-off we saw yesterday, in part because of expectations that we're going to see tighter regulations, maybe a revisit, a sharper, stronger revisit of Section 230 with this new administration. I mean, is this Zuckerberg and Facebook looking to get ahead of what might be inevitably that?
You know, I don't know if it's as much that, Morgan, and more the fact that there's been a lot of criticism of these platforms for enabling the organization of some of the rioting that we saw yesterday, and the question of whether or not Facebook is just simply not quick enough to take things down, and whether or not, even if something is up for even 30 seconds, it can be shared and liked many times in that period. So I think there's this question, you know, not just what they've faced from Capitol Hill, this question whether Facebook is biased in how it regulates content on the platform, but whether it can be used as a tool for bad, and whether they need to be much more stringent in preventing that from happening. And simply right now, they think the risk is too great for the next 2 weeks. It's a very, very bold move by Mark Zuckerberg and Sheryl Sandberg.
To that point, Julia, and referencing something Tom Friedman said earlier on Squawk Box, I mean, there was a period before the election where Facebook was elevating more credible news content into people's news feed, and then they apparently stopped doing that. You know, do we have any sense that they're going to revisit that policy and perhaps make it permanent as well?
Well, look, they have been trying to elevate reputable news, particularly about coronavirus. They've been elevating, correct news from reputable sources around the election. If you go to Instagram right now, they say, here is the election news you need to know. Here's what's happening right now on Capitol Hill. But I think what has shifted is, for many years, Zuckerberg said that they believed that people needed to know what the president was saying. They needed to know if he was saying things that were incendiary. And now they're saying these things are incendiary. We don't want people to be incited to violence because of that. I want to just read you one quote here from Mark Zuckerberg's comments. He said, over the last several years, we have allowed President Trump to use our platform consistent with our rules, at times removing content or labeling his posts when they violate our policies. We did this because we believe that the public has a right to the broadest possible access to political speech, even controversial speech. But the current context is now fundamentally different, involving use of our platform to incite violent insurrection against a democratically elected government. That paragraph sums up the shift that Facebook has made between allowing this as free speech and now saying it certainly incites violence.
Shepard Smith here. Thanks for watching CNBC on YouTube.
On the one hand, Facebook has an absolute right to kick these people off of its platform, and the vile speech in which they engage causes harm in the real world. On the other hand, there's a risk that Facebook embracing the power to decide who gets to speak and who doesn't get to speak in the largest online discourse ever constructed is a dangerous proposition. The idea that a single company will decide these questions will create a risk that others whose opinions we value more than, say, Alex Jones will also get silenced. There's also the risk, though, that the focus on these episodic, spectacular instances of censorship by Facebook distracts from what may be a more significant form of content moderation that Facebook engages in every day. And that is the decision they make every time you open your Facebook feed to show you some content and not other content. This algorithmic prioritization is a much more significant form of content moderation that Facebook engages in, but we know relatively little about it, and yet it may ultimately decide who gets seen and who doesn't get seen online. Alex Jones is not influential in our society because he's persuasive. He's influential because Facebook's algorithms have decided to propagate his views widely on the basis of their design to promote user engagement. And that decision that Facebook has made to, improve or amplify voices that promote engagement results in voices like Alex Jones's being spread so widely.
A Fox News alert, a brand new Congress to be led by a familiar face, Nancy Pelosi, being introduced now as the Speaker of the 117th Congress.
Trump supporters Diamond and Silk's page with 1.2 million Facebook followers after determining their content and brand were, quote, unsafe to the community. To a great many Americans, that appears to be a pervasive pattern of political bias. Do you agree with that assessment?
Senator, let me say a few things about this. First, I understand where that concern is coming from because Facebook and the tech industry are located in Silicon Valley, which is an extremely left-leaning place. And this is actually a concern that I have and that I try to root out at the company